73 Yards is an episode of Doctor Who that I'm yet to be able to entirely collect my thoughts on, but there's one scene that I found truly baffling since the episode aired, and that's the pub scene. We're going to start this video off by going through the lead up to the scene and the scene itself just so everyone knows what happens, and then we'll go through all of it again and I'll actually explain my issues with it. So, 73 Yards starts on a windy Welsh cliff where Ruby Sunday accidentally disturbs a fairy circle, resulting in the Doctor vanishing and a strange woman appearing in the distance. Unsure what to do, Ruby just starts walking. The first person she comes across is a hiker who she asks to tell the mysterious woman who is seemingly following her that she's sorry for whatever it is she's done. The hiker obliges, but when she gets to the woman, we see the hiker turn to look at Ruby and then run away in fear. Ruby is concerned by this and does all she can, start running. She soon finds herself at a pub, with the mysterious woman still following exactly 73 yards behind her, and goes inside out of the cold. Instantly, when Ruby walks into the pub, there's a strange atmosphere. Everyone in the room turns to look at her, and Lowry, the landlady, judges Ruby for not wearing a coat in the cold weather and then makes a small sarcastic comment when Ruby tells her she's lost her things and it's kind of a long story. After this, Ruby asks if there's a room available for the night. Lowry says yes, and then in I cannot stress this enough, the most casual way ever, Ruby tells Lowry she doesn't have any cash and asks if she can pay with her phone. The landlady clearly doesn't take it in a casual way though, and does a bit where she pretends she doesn't know what Ruby is talking about before placing the reader, or whatever it's called, out in front of Ruby and saying of course you can pay with your phone. A woman sat at the bar named Enid chimes in after Ruby awkwardly apologizes, saying we're not quite the Dark Ages, young lady, despite what they say. Ruby then walks to the window asking if the other people in the pub can see the woman. Enid suggests that she should ask the woman in considering the weather, but Ruby replies saying the woman isn't with her, she's just following her and she doesn't know why. After Ruby pays £5 for a Coke, Enid asks Ruby if she's actually asked the woman why she's following her, and Ruby says no. Josh, another person in the pub, offers to talk to her since he's leaving anyway. Ruby tells him to ask the woman if she's seen the Doctor, and while watching at the window as he walks out, explains to the others that the woman isn't exactly following her, it's that she's never getting any closer. With this information, Enid coins a new term, sempre distans, meaning always distant. Following this, we see Josh reach the woman and then sprint away in fear, exactly like the hiker did before him. Another pub goer, I4, comes to the window as this happens and is genuinely shocked that Josh is running, asking what the woman said to him to cause that. Ruby says she doesn't know and then tries to explain the situation to everyone about the fairy circle and how maybe that caused all of this. Everyone seems interested, asking her for more details. When she tells them she broke the circle, a couple of them act shocked and begin telling her an upsetting folk story about the land and someone called Mad Jack who Ruby has potentially unleashed on everyone. Throughout all of this, Ruby becomes more and more distressed until finally there's a knock on the door of the pub. Everyone convinces Ruby that it's Mad Jack, but when Ruby plucks up the courage to open the door, there's just a man stood there with a load of pasties, and the pub group burst out laughing at her, revealing that the entire thing was all a lie, with Enid explaining, "It's racist, my dear, to be blunt. People come from outside, they think we're all witches and druids. For God's sake, child, you walked into a piece of string." Okay, now that we've established what happens in the pub scene, what is actually wrong with it? First of all, we have Lowry instantly being weird and sarcastic towards Ruby about her coat. On its own, this would kind of not matter at all, like okay, Lowry is a bit of a cow, whatever, but mixed in with all the other parts of the scene, it's just yet another odd moment of unnecessary meanness. Following this, we have Ruby asking if she can pay by phone. I said in my initial run through of this scene that she says it completely casually, and I cannot stress enough how casually she says it. Lowry takes Ruby asking this as if she's having a dig and making the assumption that because she's in a little Welsh pub that the only way to pay is by cash, but that is simply not what's happening, and it's weird that she took it that way. It's more like Ruby was just thinking out loud, oh, I don't have cash, so can I pay with my phone? Is it potentially an unnecessary question? Sure. But is it said with malice? Absolutely not. I guess the correct grammar would be may, right? May I pay with my phone? The implication with may being, I know I physically can pay with my phone, but will you allow me to do so? And can implying that Ruby is asking if they have the ability to pay by phone at all. But Lowry is definitely not concerned with grammar here. Going by the strange coat interaction, the vibe to me is she was already annoyed at Ruby before she asked about paying and then took the chance to make fun of her by playing dumb. In her annoyance, she decided that Ruby had bad intentions with her question, even though you can tell by the way she asked it that wasn't the case at all. Lowry then makes Ruby pay a £5 for a glass of Coke, which is obviously ridiculous and again on its own would be kind of funny, but put with everything else it's just like, okay, why do you hate this teenager so much? It's really weird. After this, we have Ruby explaining that the woman is following her and Josh volunteering to go and speak to her. This is the one part of the scene where it's Ruby doing something kind of messed up in my opinion, because I think it's a bit weird that she didn't warn Josh that the last person she asked to talk to the woman ran off in fear. But you know, this isn't necessarily a problem I have with the scene. I guess you could explain it away by saying that Ruby is clearly pretty overwhelmed right now, so she isn't thinking 100% clearly. After we see Josh run for the first time in however long, Ruby begins explaining about the fairy circle and how the Doctor is gone, and she is clearly genuinely very distressed. I feel like I can't focus on that enough throughout the entirety of this scene, but even more so by this point, Ruby is visibly uncomfortable and worried. Everyone starts kind of adding on to what Ruby is saying, giving her more information about fairy circles and Mad Jack, and the tension builds up until Ruby answers a knock on the door and it's just the pasties guy and everyone laughs at her. The whole thing is crazy to me already, but then Edith's final contribution really is the cherry on top of this nonsense scene. I can understand them not believing her about the fairy circle thing. Like, yeah, I'm sure most people would be like, bro, you just broke some string, it's not that serious. If that was the only factor at play here, I would be like, okay, these people clearly have just had it with outsiders coming to their town and being weird, so they've cooked up a little show to scare them. That would be fine, but that isn't what this was at all. I don't understand how the explanation for this entire scene is Enid being like, yeah, people including you are just racist and make assumptions about us when all of these things have just happened. 1. These people have literally seen that there's a woman outside the pub standing in one spot looking in. That woman isn't part of their little act. That's a real woman stood out there and they have no idea who she is, but they just don't seem to care that this young girl has come into the pub talking about how she's lost all of her stuff and is being followed. 2. Their friend went to speak to this woman and ran off, something these people claim he never does. They don't care that this woman is following a young girl, and they don't care that whatever this woman said got their friend sprinting for his life. 3. Ruby has been genuinely concerned for the whole scene. Like, even before they started feeding into her worries and purposely trying to make her uncomfortable, she was already visibly worried again about the woman who these people have seen for themselves, but also about the doctor who she has told these people is her friend who is literally missing. I don't know what we're supposed to believe here. Are we supposed to believe these people have noticed all the actual concerning things going on here and just don't care because Ruby mentioned fairy circles and asked if she can pay by phone and that triggered blinding rage in them? Are we supposed to believe they are so stupid and mean-spirited and focused on this opportunity to scare Ruby that they don't even realise the concerning things are even there? I also don't fully know what I would do to fix this scene, but as it is, it just simply doesn't make any sense. It feels to me like the entire scene was written specifically with the climax in mind, where we go from the most tension to absolutely none as the door opens and the past these man is revealed. And the way RTD has done that is by not allowing this group of characters to take in any of the new information they're getting. A normal character would maybe start the scene with the intention of pranking this girl who they perceive to be an idiot who believes in fairy circles, but would then decide against that when they realise this girl is genuinely concerned about something. Even if they think she's still being ridiculous about the fairy circle aspect of the situation, there are multiple other things like the woman and her missing friend that should make them pause and be like, wait, there's clearly something going on here, this girl doesn't seem right. But they just don't care. Even their acknowledgements of the woman aren't really at the level they should be, and they don't care at all that Ruby mentioned she's lost her stuff and her friend is missing, because they need to prank her and give us that climax moment that needs to happen. I don't think it's even really worth trying to get into the heads of these characters because they just aren't proper characters. They exist to build tension in the scene they're in, and to do that they're written as a group of very nasty people. And that's not me saying that I think it's always a bad thing when characters are nasty. These characters are nasty for no actual reason, and it doesn't actually get us anywhere in terms of the episode. It's such a long scene and it's such a waste of time in an episode that kind of needs all the time it can get. To summarise, the issue with this entire scene for me is that Ruby is picked on by a group of people, first of all for no reason, like the second she walks into the pub the landlady is on her ass, but then second of all because rather than helping her when they find out there's a woman following her and her friend is missing, they decide that none of that matters and it's best to scare her even more anyways because in their mind she deserves it even though she has done literally nothing to provoke them. This honestly might be one of the worst scenes in the entire show. It just makes absolutely no sense. If you have a different perspective on this scene, or the same perspective but have more to add that I didn't include here, then feel free to let me know in the comments. I don't see nearly enough people talk about this scene, so I'd love to know what people think. That's all I have to say for now. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.